If you are involved in the restoration industry, I hope you're successful. But I do know one thing: you have challenges. One such challenge is a decision you have to make, or perhaps you've already made one, whether or not to be part of a TPA network. And to help with this, I welcome an industry expert, Nate Sisney with Restoration Made Simple Consulting. He's going to help answer some questions. Nate, welcome. I hope you're doing good today.
Oh, thanks for having me on this show. I feel honored and privileged, so I appreciate it.
I feel the same way. We haven't known each other a long time, maybe a year and a half, but recently we did a project together, an article in the latest issue of Clean Facts magazine. Although by the time you watch this recording, it won't be the latest issue, perhaps. But it's about third party administrators. What a topic. And I've heard from many in the industry how they value it because your advice was fair. I think that's the important thing here. It was fair. But tell me this: when I asked you to write this article, you seemed happy about that. You seemed good with that. Tell us why. Why is this important to you?
Yeah, no, your assessment is 100% accurate. I was happy, and that you can tell from the article I'm pretty passionate about it. So, having come from a very large restoration company that me and my business partner had started many years ago, now on the consulting side of things, I just have so many clients and the industry as a whole that seems to have such strong feelings about whether TPAs are good or whether TPAs are bad. And there doesn't seem to be a lot of middle ground. You either hate them or you're okay with them, but there's not a lot of in between. And I think mostly in life, I take the perspective that there's always middle ground. And so I'm a big proponent of going, where is the middle ground? Is this something that's worth it for me? Is this something that's not? So, as you can see from the article, it was very neutral, or at least I hope people thought it was neutral. And for those who found value, great if they want to join one. And for those who said, no, I want nothing to do with it, fantastic. No harm, no foul.
So I'll put the link to the article down in the video description so people can read that as they watch this interview. But Nate, let me ask you this. Let's dig deeper into this because you have the article, but there's a little more information we can share. If one of your clients came to you and said, I'm thinking about joining a TPA, what would you tell your client?
Good question, because I get asked that question pretty much every day, it seems like. So, my recommendation is I do go through kind of like what was mentioned in the article, and I go through the pros and the cons. So, I said, let me just tell you how a TPA works. Let me give you the understanding, and then let's make a fair assessment at the end of it. For some people, the cons outweigh the pros, and they're just like, no, I don't run my company this way. I don't want somebody dictating my pricing. I don't want somebody telling me how I have to run a job. And if that's the case, that's totally fine. But there's other people who are definitely struggling, going, look, I need the work. I'm willing to suck it up a little bit. I'm willing to give them a little bit of the commission or the percentage that they're going to make off of it. And they're totally fine because it gives them stability and it gives them a financial revenue stream that is really healthy for them at the end of the day as well. So I normally like to go through the pros and the cons and then let the client make the decision based upon that information to go, do I move forward or do I stop here?
Because ultimately it is their decision. So good advice.
Yeah.
Let's go into this thought. So some of your clients are established companies, but what if it's a new company? What if it's a brand new restoration company getting started? Does that matter to this conversation, whether or not to join?
Absolutely. So when you look at the TPAs, and there's a number of them out there, but when you look at the big boys, the most established one, they do have some pretty strict requirements. And so for some new companies, it's not even an option to get on with the TPA because many of them say you have to be in business for at least 3 years before you can actually become a member of that TPA. So that's something that's very critical. Now, you do have some of the other TPAs who are more willing to look past your years in business, and they might be a little bit more flexible simply because they need to be building their contractor network, and so they have lesser requirements on something like that. So yes, it's a huge conversation for the new guys because number one, they just may not be able to join some of them, and then number two, which ones can they join if they're willing to run their organization in a way that's compatible with the requirements from the TPA.
Okay, that's fair. So a final question. We have another minute or so.
Yeah.
From your perspective, how's the TPA impact now? How are things going? And look at the future. What do you see down the road?
Great question. I think being a prior business owner of a restoration company, we all have our complaints about TPAs, right? We don't like being told what to do. We don't like having to do it a certain way. And so I think that's still ingrained in me mentally. However, I do know that it's what allowed us to grow as a company financially. It's what allowed us to hire more employees, which gave more job growth and more opportunities to people. And it's changed their lives forever. And so I think it's a little bit of this balancing act. But to answer your question, I see TPAs only growing based upon the current environment and the current trend that I see. I'm currently working with 2 or 3 new TPAs that are coming out that are actually on the market now. And I think that number will continue to grow because it is the one way that insurance companies can. Somebody might argue with me on this. So my term here may not be the best politically correct term, but it allows the insurance companies to dictate the outcome of a claim much better if they're on a TPA than if they're not. And insurance, we know, likes to dictate, and we know that they like to have control as much as they possibly can. Because once they lose control, at that point, it's millions, if not billions of dollars that they're losing. And that's never good for any business. So they got to run their business. We got to run our business. We make decisions based upon finances. And that's just the way the world runs, right? So I understand why insurance is doing it. Doesn't mean I agree with it, but I also know how I'm going to run my company and I'm going to try to make money as well. So that's what we're in business to do.